In order to marry me, Emily cut off all contact with her family. Everyone knows how deeply she loves me, from the pursuit to the relationship, and then to marriage. Everything was done with a bang. It was spectacular. She has given me 999 roses, set off fireworks all over the city, and even hung banners from a private jet. This did not stop her from maintaining another relationship on the side. After we got married, she continued as before. She frequently went out to meet her first love. What's more, the two of them already had a child together. I gave her many chances. I even promised her that we would celebrate our 7th anniversary. But that day, she lied to me, saying that her mother was sick and couldn't come. In fact, I knew that she was spending Valentine's Day with her first love and their child. I looked at the scene in front of me and couldn't help but laugh. I told Emily, "Do whatever you want." After that, I turned around and started the divorce proceedings. I also bought 10 high-speed train tickets to different places. I can leave here at any time. Emily, I told you before, if you ever do me wrong, I'll make sure you never find me again. Now, I'm standing around the corner, spying on her as she video chats with her first love, who is far away. Their son is shouting mommy excitedly on the phone. The man calls Emily daughter-in-law. He says, "Honey, Valentine's Day is coming up in a few days. Please find some time to spend with the kids. And with your little husband. We all miss you. Mommy, you haven't come to visit me for a whole week. Tommy misses you so much." I clench my fists, watching my wife talk to the father and son on the video call with tender eyes. My heart suddenly tightens. It's as if I'm being held tightly by a hand. The provocative messages I received before turn out to be true. Not only did she betray me and had a child with someone else. At that moment, someone behind me walked forward. Emily, who heard the footsteps, gave the father and son a kiss before hanging up. She looked back along the footsteps and happened to see me. Just then, a message suddenly popped up on my phone. It said I had successfully purchased the last high-speed train ticket. Not only had I booked a high-speed train ticket, I had also booked bus and plane tickets to different cities. Emily smiles and runs over to me. She glances at the booking information on my phone. "Honey, are you leaving?" she says, perhaps unsure of herself. She didn't realize how strange her words sounded. I smile and shake my head. I say, "No, I just asked my subordinate to go on a business trip, and I booked the tickets for him." "Why are you talking like that all of a sudden? It's just a business trip," I say to Emily with a smile. I'm now the president of a group that is about to go public. Usually I let my subordinates arrange things for me, but this time I booked my own ticket. I was almost shocked. "I thought you were going on a business trip again and leaving me alone." Emily gently took my arm. She realized that she had just lost her temper. She secretly let out a sigh of relief. I forced a smile and said, "I'm fine. Why would you think I want to leave you? Do you think I'm seeing someone else? Is that why you think I'm leaving you?" I asked her with a smile and a joking tone of voice, but her face immediately turned pale. When Emily and I got married, we promised each other never to stray, never to cheat on each other. She also told me, if one day one of us no longer loves the other, we will say so frankly. The other party will naturally withdraw from the marriage. I also told her, if one day I find out that she has fallen in love with someone else, I will disappear from her life, so that she will never see me again. Hear my words. Emily's hand on my arm tightened noticeably. She said, "How is this possible? How much I love my husband. Everyone in the city knows. It even made the news back then. John married Emily, the city's model daughter-in-law." When she said this, she reached out and gently touched my left cheek. Her hot fingers seemed to reveal her nervousness at that moment. I didn't reply. Emily continued, "Honey, no matter what happens in the future, we must stick together, okay?" Emily grew up in a wealthy family, but because of this, her parents were always busy with work and rarely had time to spend with her. This made her an extremely insecure person. She once told you, "If you're gone in the future, I would be heartbroken." Later, her family's financial situation worsened. I also had to support the whole family. When we got married, she asked me over and over again, 20 or 30 times a day, if I would leave her, if I really loved her, and so on. I understood. She just lacked a sense of security. She wanted to hear a clear commitment from me. Every time she asked me, I would give her the most satisfactory answer with my actions, to reassure her. Unexpectedly, this marriage, in the end, it turned out that the person who chased after me for true love in the beginning gave up true love first. I said to her with a bitter smile, "Okay, you've received my reply." Emily happily let go of my hand. She pressed the elevator button. We walked into the elevator one after the other. I just got home. As usual, she poured me a cup of hot water. But this time was different. There were 2 slices of lemon in the water. She said to me in a pleading tone, "I'm sorry, honey, I may not be able to spend Valentine's Day with you next weekend. My mother is sick. I have to take care of her. I know your company is going public soon. You're pretty busy, so this time I'll take care of my mother myself. I won't trouble you. After I've taken care of this matter, I'll personally cook your favorite dish, sweet and sour pork, okay?" I could clearly hear that Emily was a little nervous when she spoke. There was also something not quite right about what she said. If her mother really was sick, after she took care of her, she wouldn't have time to make me sweet and sour pork as compensation. However, I still listened quietly until she finished speaking. Then I smiled and nodded. I agreed to everything she said. I picked up the hot lemon water and took a gentle sip. It was really sour. It went from my mouth to my throat. It's like the taste of her heart. When you come back next weekend, I'll probably have already left the city. You can eat all the sweet and sour pork you like. I won't be touching it again. The next morning, I was sweating with a stomachache. I sat on the sofa waiting for Emily to drive me to the hospital. She was awakened by my noise. At first, she was still groggy, but after answering the phone, she started getting dressed with a smile. I knew she was going to abandon me again. "Honey, I have to go with my best friend to her antenatal appointment. Your stomach ache is not a big deal. Just go by yourself. I'll go with my best friend first. I'll come back to keep you company later." If it were in the past, I probably wouldn't have thought twice about the problem with her words. Instead, I would have completely trusted her. Now, I immediately heard the untruth in her words. The day before yesterday, on my way to the office, I happened to run into her best friend, who had just finished her antenatal checkup. But I didn't expose Emily's lie. I just calmly replied, "Go ahead." Before I could finish my sentence, Emily had already walked out of the living room without looking back. She disappeared through the door. Watching this scene, my heart suddenly sank. Today, she probably didn't go to accompany her best friend for her antenatal checkup. Instead, she went to see the father and son from yesterday's video call. Thinking about it, this situation started 5 years ago. Emily and I have been married for 7 years. She disappeared for most of that time. When she came back, she told me she had been cheated on. Thinking back, I think she was probably giving birth to our child. Emily, you are a great actress. You played the role of the perfect daughter-in-law so well that everyone in the city knew about it. But I don't want it anymore. Your sincerity is worthless. Emily is not here. I just need to call my subordinate to drive me to the hospital. Fortunately, it was only a minor appendicitis, a minimally invasive operation. After a short rest, I was able to get up and walk. I had just finished the operation. When I turned on my phone, I saw a message from a man. The sender was Emily's first love, Michael. 2 months ago, Michael had added me to WeChat. Every time Emily said she was going out, he would send me a message telling me that Emily was at his place. His words always carried a provocative tone. It's as if he's deliberately trying to make me angry. I believe Emily, so I didn't take this person seriously. I think he's just jealous of Emily and I. He just wants to destroy us. But this time, he didn't just send text. There was also a video attached. I clicked to watch. Emily was hugging a little boy, standing on tiptoe, shyly kissing the man's chin. This kind of warm family scene, I used to envy it very much. But the woman in the picture was my wife. My heart suddenly ached like it was being cut with a knife. Michael sent me another voice message. "John, what do you think of the life my wife and I lead? You're really useless. Envy it. You'll never have a life like this." Michael has sent me a lot of these messages in the past 2 months. He even said that I'm not a real man. We've been married for so many years. I haven't been able to get Emily pregnant. Now I look at the scene in the video. Emily's eyes are full of love for them. There are also many gifts on the wall in the background of the video. They were all gifts I gave Emily before. I finally understand. It turns out that I was only fooling myself before. We haven't had a child in all these years. We have both been to the hospital for tests. Our bodies are fine. Emily told me, even if we don't have a child, she still loves me. We'll let nature take its course with the baby. If we can get pregnant, we will. If not, that's fine too. But now, she has a child with another man. I watched the video of Emily interacting with Michael, the child. My heart grew colder and colder. I was so naive. I actually believed Emily's lies. I forcefully turned off my phone. I left the hospital. She said she would be heartbroken if I left. Fine, I hope she is heartbroken. I really left. Let's see if you really are heartbroken. But she's so happy with her new family now. Even if I disappear, she probably won't be sad. But anyway, I should quit this pointless marriage farce. When I got home, I quickly started packing. When I went into the utility room to get my suitcase, I found a box of contraceptives. That made me understand something. This scene made my chest feel tight. I couldn't breathe. Tears kept running down my cheeks. I realized it wasn't that I couldn't get her pregnant. It was Emily who had secretly done it behind my back. She had been deceiving me from the very beginning about her feelings for me. Thinking about this, I was even more determined to leave this woman who was so good at pretending. When Emily returned, it was already the next morning. I had forgotten from when on. She was busier than me even though she didn't work. It was either something with her parents or her girlfriends. Later on, she used her parents and girlfriends as excuses so often. She came up with new excuses. She said she was going to cooking classes, massage classes, and even babysitting classes. She always said she was doing this for my own good. She could cook for me and give me massages. She also said that when she had a baby in the future, she could take care of it at home. Later, I slowly understood. It turned out that she was so busy. In fact, she was having a baby with her first love. I used to naively believe her. I thought she was having a hard time. Every other day, I would buy her gifts of different kinds. But those gifts always disappeared from the house for no reason. I felt something was wrong, so I asked her what was going on. She told me she had donated the gifts in exchange for money. But today I found out the gifts I gave her didn't disappear. They are at Michael's house. She took all the gifts to please that father and son. Emily really knows how to use my sincerity to please others. And yet, she is still considered the model daughter-in-law in the city. Michael is just as unpleasant as Emily. Not only did he betray me, he even sent me a message to provoke me. At this moment, everything became clear, but I wasn't happy at all. Instead, my heart ached like it was being stabbed. So this is what it feels like to have your heart truly broken. Emily gently pushed open the door and slowly walked into the house. She found me sitting in the living room, with dark circles under my eyes. I really didn't sleep all night long. I was thinking about the past, why I didn't see through her not-so-subtle tricks earlier. Finally, I figured it out. It's not that I couldn't sense it, it's because I loved her. My fondness made me unable to see the truth. She asked, "Honey, why are you up so early today?" Emily smiled, trying to hide the embarrassment on her face. She said to me. I calmly replied, "I had a stomachache just now. I couldn't sleep after I woke up." Emily said with a pretense of concern, "I'll pour you some hot water to warm your stomach. I'm quite worried about you. You went for a checkup yesterday. What was the result?" "It's nothing serious," I said coldly. Emily placed the hot water on the coffee table and skillfully snuggled into my arms. The moment she leaned in close to me, a smell of smoke drifted into my nose. In this house, Emily and I don't smoke. I think the smell of smoke must have come from Michael. But this time, I didn't accept her as I usually did. Instead, I used the excuse of a stomachache and pushed her away. The more she showed that she loved me and came close to me, the more I felt disgusted. Emily, who had been pushed away by me, took off her clothes and went to take a shower. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Ding dong, her phone suddenly rang. I took the phone out of her clothes and glanced at it. The message content made me feel extremely uncomfortable. Michael sent a short video. I opened it. It was from a store selling miniskirts and maid costumes. He said, "Honey, I want to see you wear this next time. Buy a few extra, so you can exchange them if they tear." I don't remember exactly when it started. Emily, who never watched short videos, actually occasionally sent me videos, but she always withdraws them after sending them. Only those that have not been withdrawn for more than 2 minutes will remain. It seems that she doesn't really want to share the videos with me. Maybe she sent them to the wrong person. Otherwise, why would she send them and then withdraw them? Thinking about this, I couldn't help but smile wryly. The more I think about the details of how she once loved me, the more I feel uncomfortable. In the evening, Emily found another excuse. She said she had to go keep her mother company. I know she didn't go to see her mother at all. Instead, she went to meet Michael and their illegitimate child, because not long after she left the house, Michael sent a triumphant message. It was accompanied by a photo. Emily was wearing a camisole and helping Michael wash his feet in the room. I've been married for 7 years. I've never enjoyed such treatment, not once. Now I'm alone at home again. Looking at the wedding photos of her and me on the wall, we were smiling so sweetly in the photos. But now my heart is full of bitterness. I don't think I can bear to look at these photos anymore. I take the wedding photos off the wall, one by one. I take a kitchen knife and smash them all to pieces. Then I throw them all in the trash. It's like throwing my own marriage in the trash. I feel a little relieved. When Emily comes home, it's already the next morning. She pushes open the door. She frowns and asks me, "Honey, I feel like something is missing in the house." "It's empty," I said. "It's nothing. I just threw out some trash." Emily seemed to suddenly remember something. She took my hand. Her tone softened a little. "Honey, I love you. You can't leave me. After Valentine's Day, I have a surprise for you." I ordered a lot of fresh seafood. It was caught directly from the sea and delivered to our house. After hearing her words, I smiled. Sure enough, this sudden display of affection was often due to guilt after doing something wrong. However, I didn't point this out, but went along with what she said, smiling and saying, "Okay." Emily heard my promise, and her expression immediately relaxed a lot. I felt it must have been quite hard for her to maintain a relationship like this, keeping things on the down low. Soon, she wouldn't have to do those things in secret anymore, because I booked the ticket for the day after Valentine's Day. From that day on, I would disappear from her life forever. Time passed quickly. Before I knew it, Valentine's Day arrived. Every year on this day, it was Emily and my wedding anniversary. But in recent years, I have basically been spending this day alone. Fortunately, I was about to finish filming Emily's script. Early in the morning, Emily got up, put on her makeup, and said to me, "Honey, today my mother is having surgery. I have to go to the hospital with her. You're busy at work. You don't need to come. I'll take you with me next time I'm off." I didn't ask any questions. I just nodded with a smile. Emily didn't really expect me to say yes. She just wanted to let me know. Before long, Emily was all packed and ready to go. She left the house with her bag. I slowly shaved in the bathroom. I carefully cleaned myself up. Today, I will also leave this place forever. After packing, I called my subordinate to help me send my luggage to the high-speed railway station. I drove to the restaurant where Emily and I had our first date. It was a small, cozy local restaurant. As soon as I entered, I saw a scene that made me feel extremely uncomfortable. Emily was sitting with her parents, Michael, and a young boy. Everyone was chatting and laughing. Seeing this scene, my heart suddenly tightened. The pain made my body break out in a cold sweat. I realized that on Valentine's Day Emily had gone to reunite with Michael and their child, but I never would have guessed that even her parents knew about it. It seemed that in this whole scheme I was the only one who had been kept in the dark. My heart suddenly sank. Emily, Michael, and their child were all wearing matching outfits. Her parents were teasing the child and couldn't stop smiling. Although Emily's parents never really liked me as a son-in-law, I have been helping them since the Smiths ran into financial difficulties 5 years ago. Not only are her parents not grateful to me, they also say behind my back that I am a wife beater. They think I have dragged down the once glorious Smith family. They can say such things so directly to my face. I'm sure they say even worse things behind my back. I have been helping the Smiths since we got married. In the end, I'm just a supporting actor in this play. They really do seem like a happy family. They're using me, but they're raising someone else's child. Even her parents are turning a blind eye. Emily's child noticed me first. He hid in Emily's arms. Nervously pointing at me, he said, "Mommy, I was a little scared. That man kept looking at us. He didn't seem very friendly." Emily gently stroked the boy's hair. She whispered, "Don't be afraid, baby. Your father is here. Bad people don't dare come here." Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly turned her head and looked at me. Her face suddenly turned rigid. Her eyes also became gloomy. "John, why are you here?" Emily stared at me. Her expression was as if she had seen the sky fall and was shocked. Normally, she always affectionately called me her husband, but this time, she directly called me by my name. Her acting skills also completely fell apart at this moment. Emily immediately put down the baby. She walked quickly up to me. "Honey, listen to me. I just found out that my mother's surgery has been postponed. I brought my parents and our distant cousin to dinner. I'm so forgetful. I was so busy that I forgot to tell you." I nodded helplessly. Emily is really good at acting. She can still pretend even at this point. It's a waste not to become an actress. The child called her mother. She called the so-called distant cousin the father of the child. There was no point in pretending. It was obvious that they had long since lost their feelings for each other. Why continue to entangle themselves? Her parents usually didn't speak to me very politely, but at the moment they were sitting there, blushing. They looked very uncomfortable. At that moment, the child suddenly ran over to Emily, crying. He grabbed her hem and asked, "Mom, why did you call him husband? Shouldn't your husband be called Dad?" I don't want a new dad. I don't want one. The child kept talking and crying. Her voice grew louder. I'm not your mother. Stop screaming. Emily suddenly panicked. She reached out to stop the child. After she hit the child, she explained to me, my cousin's child grew up without a mother, so she called me mother, just to experience the feeling of having a mother. As soon as she finished speaking, her son suddenly let out a whoosh sound and started crying. He clung to her legs. While crying, he kept shouting, "Mother." This was such a bad performance, I didn't know how to pretend I hadn't seen it. I continued to cooperate with her performance. Michael came over with an air of mastery. With a mocking smile on the corner of his mouth, he asked, "You are Emily's husband, John, right?" I didn't say a word. Michael continued, "It's true that hearing is not as good as seeing. Your wife Emily is such a good woman. It's a real pity to marry you." Michael took off the bronze pendant he was wearing around his neck. Seeing this, I froze for a moment. The pendant Michael was wearing on his chest, but it was the Smith family heirloom. Emily and I have been married for so long. Only on the day of our wedding did Smith father show it to me. He said as long as I treated his daughter well, this antique pendant will be given to me in the future, but before it reached my hands, it had already fallen into the hands of others. Michael seems to have won the favor of Emily's parents more than I did, but it doesn't matter anymore. I'm leaving here today. Just then, Father Smith, who was sitting at the dinner table, coughed twice. He spoke, "There's nothing to hide. Isn't it good to be above board? I like Michael as our son-in-law. He's much better than that person. That person is busy working all day. Michael knows how to come and see us with the children on holidays, and he brings gifts. Look at someone else. There's really no comparison. Michael and our daughter are close. Emily sends money to us every month, cares for our lives. But that person, although he is already a senior executive of the group, I have never seen him do this. Not even a penny. I don't want to get involved in these meaningless things with them. Every holiday and New Year's Eve, I will transfer a few big red envelopes to Emily. Sometimes it's 100,000 yuan. Sometimes it's 80,000 yuan. Every month, I transfer the living expenses of Mr. and Mrs. Smith to Emily first, and she would give it to her parents. I also wanted to go with her, but she always said she had something to do. Every time, it turned out, she took my money and went back to her hometown to visit her parents with her lover and child. In the end, it seemed like the fault was all mine. I nodded to Smith's parents and said, "You are both right." Smith's parents were just about to say something, but Emily interrupted them immediately. "Dad, Mom, what are you talking about?" Emily's face suddenly turned red. She said to her parents, "Stop it," and silenced Smith's father and mother. Then, she walked over and took my hand. I looked coldly at her and shook her hand off. Emily's face suddenly turned pale. She seemed to see me calmly facing this. It felt like I might leave her. Emily immediately explained, "Honey, I'll explain to you when I get back tonight. Right now, it's hard to explain in a short time." I nodded gently. With a helpless smile, I said, "It's fine. You guys get together first. I still have some things to do and I need to go." After saying this, I turned around and left. Michael smiled smugly. It was as if he had won the battle. Father Smith and Mother Smith muttered to each other, "Without him, we're just like a family." Exactly. What kind of figure does he make sitting here? He made my baby cry. An ungrateful person like him. It's best if he goes and never comes back. It's annoying just to look at him. My ears are full of all kinds of accusations and nasty words. To me, they're just the buzzing of flies. From now on, these slanderous voices will disappear forever. They won't bother me anymore. You are the family. Why do you have to be so difficult for me? Since you like Michael so much, I'll let you be together. There's nothing wrong with that. Why should you spend my money and live in my house? I left the restaurant directly. I went to the high-speed railway station. I have never appeared in this city again. I have to leave here. This means that we have to get a divorce, recover all my assets. This is only fair, but I don't want to talk to Emily about the divorce myself. I paid a lawyer to help me handle all the divorce matters. It didn't take long. 2 months later, the divorce was settled. My lawyer won the case. On the grounds of bigamy, Emily lost her right to a share of my assets, and all the money she took from me during her affair was recovered. My lawyer told me, Emily can't afford to pay this money. The court froze all her bank cards and seized the last remaining house in her parents' home, preparing it for auction. However, this money is still far from enough to cover the amount I spend on them every month. In recent years, the elderly couple is growing older. Every time they go to the hospital, Emily takes all the expenses from me. Since my lawyer won the lawsuit against Emily, her lover Michael left her with their son, Her parents also lost their home. Emily frantically looked for me everywhere. She called me a lot. I blocked one number after another, but she would continue to call me with new numbers. I received a lot of messages from her apologizing and regretting. They almost filled up my phone, but no matter what way she tried to contact me, I didn't respond. It was as if the messages had sunk to the bottom of the sea. I focused on work. I didn't want to be disturbed. Although I no longer worked in the same city, the group I belonged to was very large. It had offices in almost every first and second tier city. Currently, the group was at a critical juncture, about to go public. I had no time to discuss personal matters with Emily. Instead, I devoted all my energy to the preparations for the listing. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed again. My group was successfully listed, and its development was rapid. As the president of the group, my status and income also increased significantly. It was at this time that I met Sophia, who truly loved me. Just when I thought life was starting to go well, and I thought I would never meet Emily again, that name that once made me sick to my stomach appeared again. Unexpectedly, Michael took the initiative to come to me as before. This time he messaged me. It was different from before. There were no sarcastic comments. It was all flattery. He begged me to let them off the hook. He said he was broke. He had committed fraud. He was on the run. He also mentioned that he knew I was in a high position now, so he voluntarily withdrew from the relationship with Emily. He just hoped I could help get his son into the best school. There was nothing I could do about this. I blocked him directly. 2 days after I blocked Michael, Emily somehow found out where I was. She stopped me downstairs at my office. I hadn't seen her in a long time. She had completely changed. There was once a sparkle in her eyes. Now she looked like she had lost her soul. Her eyes were vacant. It seemed like she had been through a lot. She suddenly opened her arms. She stood in front of my black Bentley. I rolled down the window. As soon as she saw me, she hurriedly brought a bowl of braised pork over. She said, "This is your favorite braised pork. I made it myself," and handed me the bowl. I touched the bowl. It was still warm. I guess she had just finished cooking it. Miss Emily is so considerate, but I don't really like braised pork anymore these days. My tastes have changed a lot. When I heard this, Emily thrust the bowl into my hands. She then fell to her knees and cried, "John, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Please come back. You've been gone for so long. I've been so worried." I sat in the car, my face expressionless. I didn't say a word. As always, I never liked to fight back with words. Instead, I chose to leave quietly, so that they would regret it afterwards. Now they've come to admit their mistakes. What's the point? Admitting her mistake will not erase the fact that she cheated on me. It will not erase the child she had with Michael. Emily saw that I was not speaking. She ran to my car window, panicked. She reached in and grabbed my hand. "I finally found out where you are. Please don't ignore me. I don't want to lose you. My parents regret it now too. They support me coming to you to get back together. John, you were so good to me. You must still love me, right? And Michael, I'm done with him. I'll be faithful to you from now on." She hadn't finished speaking. I pushed her hand away. "That's enough. Betray once. Give up forever. Emily, you no longer have a role in my script." After saying this, I turned to the driver. "I'm not going to the office today. John always. Where are you going?" "Back to my wife Sophia's." After saying that, the driver slammed on the gas. The car sped off. Emily was left alone, shivering in the wind. She chased after my car, crying bitterly. She kept saying things she regretted, but from the moment I found out she had cheated on me, I decided to end the relationship. Now I'm not going back. The past is over. The future continues. I reached into the bowl and picked up a piece of my former favorite braised pork. I put it in my mouth. I don't know if my taste has changed. This braised pork doesn't taste as good as it used to. Maybe it's not the taste that's changed. It's just that this bowl of braised pork lacks that emotional flavor. After getting rid of Emily's stalking, I asked the driver to take me directly to Sophia's place. She seemed to have foreseen my arrival. She had already left a video on the smart door of the villa. In the video, Sophia said with a smile to the camera, "Welcome home, John.